Hi. Welcome to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Yvette Mayer, and this show's for you if you're done with cookie cutter marketing and ready to build your personal brand in alignment with who you really are. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Human Design for Marketing podcast with me, Yvette Mayer, your resident lit up and liberated human design and marketing expert. In today's episode, we are going to be focusing on the throat center because this really is a window into your messaging and another way that you can really amplify the voices that are within. Now, I will say before we get into the throat center and what it's about, and our focus, which will be on exploring each of the 11 gates in the throat center, that not every single human has gates or their throat defined. So let's start there with definition. I don't have a defined throat center. This means that I am more likely to experience the not self of the throat center. So if you are defined in the throat center, this means that you have consistency around your ability to communicate effectively. And it's something that is very natural for you. If you're open in the head and the ajna, you may still sometimes struggle to land ideas, but the way you actually project your voice is very powerful. It's very clear, it's natural. And that means that you have a presence about you when it comes to sharing your message, that it already comes from you consistently and reliably. Now, if you're more like me and you have an open throat center, actually, before I go there, to round out other things about the throat center, it's also the center of manifestation, because we make manifest that which we are clearly communicating or in conversation with the universe about. So that is why if you happen to be a manifester or a manifesting generator, you absolutely have a defined throat. Of that, we can be 100% certain. It's the fact that you have the definition in your throat, along with some other factors in your chart, that make this the case for you. Your manifestor energy comes from throat definition, and it depends on where it is connected to through channels as well. All right, so that's defined throat. If you have an open throat or it is undefined, then you are somebody who doesn't always feel like they are being heard. You potentially speak for the sake of getting attention, not necessarily because you have something to say. And yes, I can absolutely relate to this. It brings me back to my time in my marketing and advertising career, where the strategists, the creative team, which were the strategy team, were kind of held up as the most influential within the business, or the most powerful and acclaimed. They were the ones who would get on stage when it came to awards because they had those more strategic ideas that led to fame for their clients and for the agency. I have never been somebody who found it super easy to come up with like these, not just ideas, but these more strategic, creative, different ways of seeing things and sharing them. And yes, this is both the fact that I'm a generator, so I am not here to really initiate and to spark the new, and so I'm better in response. And like, I have to say that with this open throat center of mine, in that environment, I would also want to be a part of the conversation and want attention because I felt less than because of that. Fast forward to today, I am so comfortable with my role, and I have now felt this permission that I'm actually not here to do that. I'm more about building on the original idea, responding to the idea, And I'm also here to reflect back whether or not it is the right idea. Like that's something I feel really certain about. And I have the energy as a generator to follow through. So that's just giving you an example of the role of the throat center and some of the aspects around that. Now, there's also such a thing as a completely open throat center, and that means you have no gates activated. When you look at your chart, there's not a single throat center gate that is colored in. It's quite rare because there are 11 gates in the throat center, but it is possible to have a completely undefined and open throat center. So how does this all influence your communication from a marketing and messaging perspective? That's what we're going to explore today. The voices of your throat center. Quickly before we go there, I will say that this is another aspect that is a deeper layer to working with your personality Mercury, which is your planet of communications. We all have one of these, and it really gives us direct insight into the message that our soul wants to speak to. So I start there when I am working with clients and teaching on this. When it comes to communications and messaging, start with your personality Mercury. You can also look at your design side Mercury. And then the next place to go looking, to go deeper in, is your throat center. And what we're going to be talking through today is primarily the different styles of communication that will feel really aligned for you based on which gates you have lit up in your chart. If you have none, do not worry. Don't worry. It means you have a really unique approach to how you communicate, and you might even find that you have more flexibility in the way that you express yourself and in your voice. You're more adaptable. You're more flexible in the way that you respond and reflecting to what's going on around you. And in some ways, you have a bit of a chameleon effect, like a reflector does. And it's also possible that you're a reflector and you have an open throat. That could be true for you. So it's more about really tuning into the people around you and being flexible and fluid in your communication than projecting or activating your throat in any one particular way. So I see this as having a superpower. But for those of us who do have throat gates activated, then there's a lot of insight into the kind of messaging that is helpful for you. So we're going to go through this one gate at a time. There's 11 gates, so this is quite a lot for us to explore. And we're going to work around in a clockwise circle around the center, starting with gate 62. Now, as we do this, you're also going to feel that there is a very big influence based on the direction and the connection through, if there's a channel, to another center. So the first three gates we're going to explore sit at the top. Sorry, my phone is just beeping at me. I'm going to put it on silent. The first three that we're going to explore are sitting along the top of the square that represents the throat center, and they connect through to the ajna. So the ajna is about insight. It's about processing and thinking, like actually turning ideas or information into insight and thought and original ways of seeing things. So that is going to have an influence on these three gates. So the three gates that sit across the top are the 62, the 23, and the 56. So as we work through this, you're going to get a little bit more schooled in how the centers are affected by the way that they're connected to other channels, other centers as well. So gate 62. The first gate we're going to explore is known as the gate of details. Now, when I have really contemplated this one, and in my content codes for marketing, I call the 62 the energy of planning for flow. It is about focusing on the elements that are going to set you up for more freedom and flexibility in the way that you set yourself up for success. As a communicator, this is a very practical and analytical type of energy. Yes, it connects to the ajna. It is an energy of being able to turn complex information into simple and digestible ways of communicating that. Okay, so you're taking what's coming from the ajna, or that energy that is connected through to the 62, and you're breaking down this information into really digestible and structured ways of communicating. So this can be really good if you are working with this energy to get into things like how to do content, creating guides, making complex information simple, like really communicating things as concepts is something of a superpower for you if you have the 62. And if you want to work with this even further, you can download my 64 Cosmic Content Codes guide to get into any of these gates from a marketing perspective, including content prompts. We're going to leave a link for that in the show notes. This is a paid product, but it is worth its weight in gold, my friends. Okay, so that's the 62. 23. This is one of only 2 gates that I have in my own body graph. So the 23 is known as the gate of assimilation. So again, connected through to the ajna, and it's about synthesizing or assimilating information, but it's also about your original way of communicating that information. So it's kind of like structuring the information and turning abstract into understandable language. So this is really good energy for showing your originality in how you communicate big picture insights into more bite-sized and more memorable insights. So this is going to help your audience grasp big, meaty concepts far more simply in the way that is original to you. So this is some communication clues into where you have an advantage if you have the 23. So I do this continually in my work. I take and synthesize so much breadth of human design and Gene Keys intelligence. And then I make it simple for you so that you can apply it to your marketing more effectively. That is me in the energy of my gate 23. The next one that is connected into the ajna is the 56, and this is the gate of stimulation. It's kind of like the gate of feeling activated. And really this one, I call it the storyteller, because this is about telling the stories, like actually communicating clearly and compelling and riveting stories that are coming from you. So if you have this defined, oh gosh, if you have it in your personality Sun or Mercury, then this is on steroids. You are going to be really good at entertaining your audience through anecdotes, through parables, and really connecting the dots and weaving story and narrative into the way that you express yourself. And this is great, whether it's for blog posts or podcast episodes like this, or personal shares, of course, getting vulnerable and taking people on a journey with the way you tell a story. So those are our 3, 62, 23, 56 throat-centered gates that connect through to the ajna. Now, the next couple connect to the solar plexus. So these are our more emotional throat-centered gates. The first one is the 35. It is all about change. The 35, gate of change. Gosh, it is emotional because as humans, we really resist change, and it's destabilizing, right? So it's actually some of the most emotive content we can share is when we're going through change and transformation. It also brings with it adventure, like going on an adventure. This is a big part of the 35. So people that have the 35 are often adventurous by nature. They have a lot of experiences. It's a bit line 3 kind of energy. And what they want, or you want to be doing with the 35, is really speaking from your experience, and especially sharing the lessons and the transformations that you've experienced yourself. So this has huge implication for your marketing, and it means that you're going to be somebody that is very powerful when you are sharing about transformation and change in your life, in your client's life, and doing that through some storytelling as well is going to really encourage others to progress, to change, to grow. And that is very magnetic content for you, my friend. The next one is the 12. So interesting that I'm doing this episode and I'm thinking I've just come out of a Build Your Human Design Business mini mind call with the group that I'm running at the moment. And one of the ladies has her personality sun in the 12. Now, this is the gate of caution. And so it can really bring up hesitation. Like it's a bit like fear around, what if I get it wrong? I really want to get it right the first time, and I don't want to take so much perfect action. Like I'm going to stand back until I really get this clear. But it's also true, maybe she had it in her Mercury, sorry, just thinking out loud. It's also true that this is an energy that is important to pause in. Like, you know that when you have a lot to share and a lot to say and you have this gate defined, that the pause before expression will actually lead you to more impactful, more thoughtful and potent messaging. So this kind of energy is perfect for where you are thinking about potency, when you are considering how much weight every single word that you weave in is going to bring. And when you're working with this, it gives you such a good sense of depth. It gives you a really valuable, and I think I was going to say valuable positioning in market, because you're sharing so much depth, but it also gives you a bit of authority because you're delivering both of those things, depth and a lot of value in what you have to say. Now, I, for marketing, refer to this gate as divine discernment. It's like you're connecting into your higher source and power and are more discerning in what you're going to share. So this is something to consider if you have the 12 defined, particularly if it's in a really prominent position, that you're somebody that can deliver with great potency and cause people to feel emotions because it's connected to the solar plexus, but that you need to be discerning before you speak. All right, so there are our 2 solar plexus gates. Then we move into the one and only heart-centered gate that sits within the throat, and that is gate 45, known as the gate of the gatherer. This is one half of the channel of money, which we all love to know about. And it is an energy of authoritativeness and prosperity. So it is somebody that is looking or speaking into the importance of prosperity, not just for self, but for the community. That is focused on how can we share in our abundance. And it has this like rising tide lifts all boats about it. So what I would suggest from a marketing perspective is it's about content that really positions you as an expert or a leader, and in that also sharing the how, which is working with you. So announcing offers, being a guide on a community call, sharing really valuable insights with confidence, especially as it relates to resources and building prosperity for the tribe or the community. Beautiful energy to work with in the throat center, the 45. And very, very close to, I think, all of our hearts. All right, now we move towards the bottom if you're looking at the square, where the next few goats, the next few gates are connected to the G center. So the G center, this is our center for identity, for purpose. It's also our, it carries, especially if you're open in the G center, a sense of looking for direction and also seeking partnership, love partnership, as part of your identity as well. So the 33 is the gate, the first gate we're going to talk about here. This is the gate of privacy. So it's an interesting one to be sitting in the throat center, because when you think private, you think doesn't want to share a whole lot. But as a communication style, it's actually more about being vulnerable, actually going there and being prepared to draw from past experiences, particularly lessons learned in hindsight, to set a tone of deeper connection with your audience. So you want to actually being vulnerable and authentic in the way you express yourself when you're working with this energy, if you have, particularly if you have the gate 33 defined in your body graph, or if we happen to be moving through the 33 in the sun transit, which, by the way, is relevant for all of these gates. They're all going to be relevant for 6 days a year, regardless of whether they're defined or not, based on the transit chart. All right, next one is gate 8. So gate 8, it connects to the 1 that sits in the G center. It is about contribution. It's also about being in alignment with who you really are in the way that you contribute. And there is an essence of collaboration here, of doing this in your own unique way, but also in a way that empowers others or empowers a group towards something greater. Really amplifying collective efforts as a pathway to having a greater contribution. Okay, so there is this uniqueness, but also for the benefit of the collective. So this energy is important to think about when it comes to sharing your contribution, and especially when you're in spaces where you're collaborating, you're building community, and you're working with others towards making something bigger that you can't do alone. So there's some teamwork here. It's posts about mission-focused work, calling out or shouting out to the community for, actually, it's like recruiting others into your mission. And you can also really share successes with clients here as well, because that is about you having aligned contribution and doing that in a connectivity type sense with your clients. All right. The third and final throat-centered gate that connects to the G center is the 31, which is known as the gate of influence and or leadership. I love this one because guess what? This is the second gate of 2 that I have defined in my throat center, and therefore I've spent more time working with it, understanding it, and using it in the way that I message and market myself. Now, the 31 is definitely leadership oriented, and it has this innate ability to influence others through sharing your bigger vision or building a collective goal, which is the essence of leadership, right? Being able to not just look at a vision, but being able to share that vision and bring others into the vision to collectively move towards it. That is good leadership. That is leading from behind, which I think is a really modern leadership approach. So this is the kind of energy that's going to work really well for rallying others, for sharing a strong point of view and getting others on board with that point of view. It's also going to be an energy that means it's very important for you to regularly share your own vision for your business, your why, like why you do what you do, where you're going, and connect with others in this energy of, you know what, I'm here to make a positive contribution. Are you with me? I, for marketing, call the 31 empowered direction. So you feel empowered and you want to empower others to go in a direction with you. Beautiful, beautiful marketing energy. Okay, that is our third G center / throat center gate. Then we move into the gate 20. This one, this is really, I think this is a really key gate in the system, and it's because it sits in the integration circuit. So that means it sits in this collection of gates that actually connect into more than one center. So the 20 connects through to the G center, but it also connects to the spleen, and it also connects to the sacral. So therefore, the energy is a little different. It's not like just coming off this one center. So gate 20 is known as the gate of now. And it's like that book, The Power of Now. It's all about the present moment. Gate 20, if you're somebody with a gate 20 define, you tend to be somebody that's quite spontaneous and you want to speak in the moment. You want to communicate as soon as something hits you and offer your insights, observations, and things that are landing for you in real time. So this energy is really ideal for allowing yourself to instantly move into sharing what's coming through for you. So it's great for things like going live or just getting that download and moving into action and sharing in the present moment as it's coming up for you. And it really brings a high vibe, authentic and relatable tone because you're being so present. Now, I know that it's not always possible for you to share in the moment, even if you have this gate. So the other way to use it is to just speak into your phone and capture content, especially on video, if you're comfortable and confident doing that. And then you can edit it and do whatever you need to do with it and post it later. But you really want to be in that energy as it happens as much as possible. And then the last throat-centered gate is the 16. Love the 16. I know, I've shared this before that I love the 16 because I have a couple of humans in my life who just personify this energy. So it's the gate of skills. With the 16, it brings a lot of enthusiasm. Like, I am so enthusiastic about my work and about these projects and about getting things done in a certain way. You tend to be very, very adept and enthusiastic. They're my marketing content code words if you are defined in the 16. So if this is you, then you want to share communication in a way that's really enthusiastic and passionate. When you're excited, it really does bring this sense for like loving your work and what you have to offer. And so it's really infectious and important that you leverage that in the way that you're showing up, that you share your excitement, that you are confident in the skills that you've mastered and that you have, and passionate about sharing those to help others. So from a marketing perspective, this is going to mean letting that enthusiasm shine. It's great energy for sharing practical tips, tutorials, demonstrations, anything that, showcases your skills, because this is the gate of skills, in a way that's going to help others. And in the process, you're going to be building your authority in this kind of teaching and sharing energy. So it is a natural fit for you to be showcasing things that you're passionate about and inviting others in to learn and to connect with you through your mastery of that particular passion or the niche, depending on your business and the direction that you're going in. So that's our wrap up on the throat center and working with these individual gates when it comes to you as a marketer and building out your messages. I trust you've gotten a lot of magic from this episode. Go back, get a pen and note paper so you can start and stop when you get to the gates that are defined in your chart, and you can really spend some time on this. As I said earlier, with all 64 gates, we do now have the most incredible product for you, which is our 64 Cosmic Content Codes Guide, which gives you a full page on brand and marketing insight for every single gate. So you can go and look at every gate in your entire chart. It has the calendar of where the sun transits are moving, so that you can also be working with all of these gates as they transit through the sun or maybe through Mercury. And it has a video on better understanding the transits. And the piece de la resistance is it also comes with a Trello board with content prompts for every single gate across the entire year. So 5 to 10 content prompts for 64 gates. You will never run out of content ideas again when you have this beautiful product in your life. Thanks for joining me this week. I can't wait to hear your feedback. Message me on Instagram anytime. If you love this podcast, please do me a favor, please, and review it. Give us a 5-star rating so we get it out into the world at more scale. And I look forward to being back with you real soon. Bye for now. There are heaps more resources in the show notes. I can't wait to be back in your ears again soon. Bye for now.